Good day, buddy fighters. For today, we're going to do another deck profile. And for today, we are going to see the deck of Ancient World Max Dragons. So this is my buddy, Tyrelord Zerberus AOG. Okay, let's go over with the monsters. As we all know, Max Dragon's playstyle is leveling up the sizes of the monster. The more the size, the greater power it possesses. So, shall we see each one? Let's go with the first monster. We have the Renewal Supremacy Zerberus. Act, you may drop this card from your hand. If you do, put up to one Max Dragon spell with set or Max Dragon item from your deck or drop zone into your hand. If you looked in your deck, shuffle it. If this card is in your drop zone, all Max Dragon on your field get power plus 10,000, defense plus 10,000, and critical plus 1. So this card is a power up or a search monster. Then if that card is in the drop zone, it gives your Max Dragon additional power. So you can capsize more power with more Max Dragons. More of that in your drop zone. The next one, we have the Domelord Zerberus. When this card enters the field, put up to one size 4 or greater monster or Overcrest from your deck into your hand and shuffle your deck. Against all odds, if you only have one monster on your field, this card gets power plus 2,000, defense plus 2,000, critical plus 1, and all cards on your field cannot be destroyed or returned to hand by your opponent's card effects. So Domelord Zerberus is yet another search card for the set spell that you need, because you know Overcrest is really important in your field, and we'll get that later on with our spells. The next one, we have the Primitive Power Zerberus. Counter: when your opponent casts a spell, if you have a monster with Zerberus on your field, you may drop this hand card, pay 1 gauge and pay 1 life. If you do, nullify the spell your opponent casts. So it's another nullify or counter card, but a monster. Next, we have a size of 4. And this is Tyrelord Zerberus AOG. Now this card can only be called by Max Dragon effects. Call cost: put a size 3 Max Dragon on your field into the drop zone. When this card enters the field, put up to one Max Dragon monster from your deck into your hand and shuffle your deck. Then for this turn and the next turn, this card gets defense plus 15,000. Another ability: against all odds, if you have only one monster on your field, all cards on your field cannot be destroyed or returned to hand by your opponent's card effects. So this is the size 4 monster. Next, we have the Viclord Zerberus Zed. This card can only be called by a Max Dragon effects. Call cost: put a size 4 Max Dragon from your field into the drop zone. When this card enters the field, put up to one Max Dragon monster from your deck into your hand and shuffle your deck. Now another effect or ability is against all odds. If you have only one monster on your field, or all cards on your field cannot be destroyed or returned to hand or be rested by your opponent's card effects. This one has penetrate and triple attack. Now up to our last monster or last level. Size 6 Almighty Overlord Zerberus Lost. Now this card can only be called by a Max Dragon effect. Call cost: put a size 5 Max Dragon from your field into the drop zone. This has ability against all odds. If you have only one monster on your field, all cards on your field can be destroyed, returned to hand, or be rested by your opponent's card effects. It has the ability penetrate and quadruple attack. Also has 40,000 power, 5 critical, and 30,000 defense. Now, in additional with this one, if the all four of them, that is an additional another 40,000. So if you have all of them in the drop and you have this on the field, this will gain 80,000 power. Wow. And of course, we added this to the deck um for just a drop. Or the opponent actually is going to do a resource card or a resource spell, you may use this card. It's a counter card from a generic world. It is the mediator of prosperity and vanities. React, Empress. Counteract. You may drop this hand card. If you do for this turn, the next time your opponent would look at the entire deck, your opponent looks at the top 4 cards of the deck instead. So this is an anti-resource card actually. So that is the monsters for the Max Dragon. Now let's head over to the spells. Now, for the spells of Max Dragon, of course, the first one is the most important set or spell in the deck, and this is the Overcrest. You may only set one Overcrest on your field. If you have a Max Dragon monster on your field, you may put monster up a total size of 6 on your field. Abilities of all cards on your field cannot be nullified by your opponent's card effects. At the end of each player's turn, you may call a size 4 or greater Max Dragon from your hand or drop zone by paying its call cost. So as you can see, you cannot play size 4 up to size 6 monster without the Overcrest. That's how important Overcrest is. Now, the next one is a staple for Ancient World decks, I believe. And this is the Divine Dragon Creation. Cast cost, pay 2 life, draw 2 cards. You may only cast Divine Dragon Creation once per turn. This is like the staple or like the nice one in Magic World. That's how staple a Divine Dragon Creation is. And the next one is yet another staple card for Ancient World, and this is the Dragon Emperor Legend. Put the top card of your deck into the gauge, you gain 1 life and draw a card. You may only cast Dragon Emperor once per turn. You can definitely play this in any ancient monster deck that you can think of. That's how good those 2 cards are. The next one, we have Lord of the Skies. Put up to 1 Domelord Zerberus or Overcrest from your deck or drop zone into your hand and shuffle your deck. Yet another resource card for Max Dragons. Next, we have Indestructible Domelord. Set all Max Dragon monster on your field cannot be put to other areas by your opponent card effects. When your opponent cards attack, change the target of the attack to your center Max Dragon. When a Max Dragon on your field other than Indestructible Domelord would leave the field, you may put this card from the field into the drop zone. If you do, the card remains on the field. So this one has a lot of effects. If there is a shadow dive or attack all even you can direct that attack to the monster on the center. If it's a Max Dragon, of course it's a Max Dragon. Then if your center would be destroyed, you just put this card. It's a defense card as well. The next one, we have the Dragon Lord Bursts Forth. Cast cost, drop a Max Dragon monster from your hand. Put the top card of your deck into your gauge. You gain 1 life and draw 2 cards. Then if the card dropped by this card's cast cost is size 4 or greater, draw a card. You may only cast Dragon Lord Bursts Forth once per turn. It's a resource card, a draw card for Max Dragon. The next one is Champion's Intimidation. Set the power, defense, and critical of all Max Dragon on your field cannot be reduced by your opponent's card effects. Act, put up to one Max Dragon monster from your deck into the drop zone and shuffle your deck. You may only use this ability once per turn. So the Max Dragon has a total of 3 set spells that you can set on the field. And the next one is the Soaring Dragon Fair Skylines. Cast cost P2 gauge, draw 3 cards, and discard 2 cards from your hand. You may only cast Soaring Dragon Fair Skylines once per turn. This is yet another staple card for Ancient World, but because of the drop 2 cards, you actually just draw 1 card and you just replace 2 on your hand card. The next spell is Lord Break Imperial Lord Blast. You may only cast this card if 3 or more different Max Dragon monsters are in your drop zone. Cast cost pay 1 gauge. Counter, call up to 1 Max Dragon monster from your drop zone without paying its call cost. You may only cast Lord Break Imperial Lord Blast once per turn. There you go. The next one is Maxim of Absolute Strength. You may only cast this card during an attack on your opponent's turn, and if you have a Max Dragon monster on your center. Counter, nullify the attack. Then look at the number of cards from the top of your deck equal to your center monster size. Put up to 1 among them into your hand and put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. Maxim of Absolute Strength. The next spell is Lord Break Hardwind Summon. Counter, choose a Max Dragon monster on your field. You gain life equal to the chosen monster size, and for this turn, the next time that card would be destroyed, nullify its destruction. So you gain life, and you also protect the monster in your center. How good Max Dragon spells are. Next one, Lord Break Flame Gale. Cast cost pay 2 gauge. Counter, choose a Max Dragon on your field and rest all cards on your opponent's field with critical less or equal to the chosen card's critical. Now, if you can remember, the critical of the size 6 is 5. Yeah, so all critical that your opponent has lower or equal to 5 will be rested. Next one is the Seamless Dragon Lord. Cast cost pay 1 gauge. Counter, draw a card and choose and use one of the following 2. Call up to 1 Max Dragon monster from your hand by paying its call cost, or stand a Max Dragon monster on your field. I usually use this for aggro attacks, actually. If I cannot destroy the opponent, for my last attack, I use Seamless Dragon Lord for an additional attack. Next one, of course, I think most of the deck has this. It's the Loyalty. Cast cost pay 1 gauge. Counter, choose and use one of the following 3. For this turn, the next damage dealt to you is reduced by 2. Put a soul from a monster on your field into the drop zone, or for this turn, your opponent cannot call more than 3 monsters. Usually, we use the third option, so our opponent cannot call more monsters after the third one. Now, let's go over to the item of Max Dragon. We have the only Dragon Lord Crescent Blade. You may only equip this card if a monster with Zerberus and its card name is on your field. Equip cost, pay 1 gauge and pay 1 life. This card can attack even if a Max Dragon is on your center. It has the ability Unrivaled Bravery. If only 1 monster is on your field, this card gets power plus 10,000 and critical plus 2. and this card on the field cannot be destroyed or leave the field by your opponent's card effects. Has the ability Penetrate and Double Attack. Now let's head over to the only impact of Max Dragon, and this is the strongest is me. You may only cast this card if your opponent's life is 6 or less, and if your cards have attacked 2 times or more during this turn. Cast cost pay 2 gauge. Deal damage to your opponent equal to the size of Max Dragon on your field. So technically, it's deal 6 damage to your opponent, as the impact card says. And that is all for the Max Dragon deck profile. If you have any more question and or what deck should we do a deck profile next, comment down below on our YouTube channel, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our channel. Thank you, buddy fighters. Up until our next game.